Rashi.
Education, and I still can't figure out how to park in Montreal. Your college education is 50 years old. That's the problem?
That's the problem.
I thought that was
Welcome to the Torah portion, Beshalach. The Jewish people, the Bnei Israel, have been redeemed. They're out of Egypt, and now they're on the journey. In this week's Torah portion, we'll have the splitting of the sea, and much more, of course. Stay tuned. Let us begin. First, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu she'achnu b'vorei. L'chaim, l'chaim. I guess you should have just a simple PhD, Pesach. Pesach. Go for the simple PhD. Huh?
28 mils in an ounce. Yeah? That's what it is. Look it up on your phone.
All right, folks.
Maybe I'm wrong. No, you ever been
Hey Siri, how many mils in an ounce? 29.57353193.
That's pretty close. 30 mils to an ounce. 30 mils to an ounce.
Yeah.
How did it start over here at 30 mils? Move that thing. Look at this. Look at what I got. I told you to move the volume. I did. No, you didn't move it enough. I told you. You got half a cup. I didn't get a half a cup. I got a quarter of a cup. I told you that. Okay. Now it's going to be strong. And I worked so hard to get this. Don't ask how hard I worked. I pressed this button, I put this one forward and that one backwards.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Let's get moving over here. All right. Vahi Beshalach, and it happened when he sent Pharaoh sent his army, sent out the nation. Derech Eretz Plishtim by, and God, Levalei Nocham, and God did not lead them. Elohim derech eretz plishtim, but not by the way of the Philistines. Philistines is in Gaza, by the way. Let me show you a picture. No. He came out from here, from Egypt over to Sukkot, and they should have gone this way to Gaza, and come enter Israel through Gaza, where the Plishtim, where the Philistines were. They didn't. Look where he took them. Right? Took them down south, further south, crossing the sea of reeds, as we will see. Ki Amar Elokim, so why didn't he do it? Because God said, Pen Yinachem Ha'am, because perhaps the people will reconsider rather, B'Yireisa Milchama, when they will see war, V'Shavat Mitzrayim, and they want to go back. Right? Because what's going to happen is that the Egyptians are going to come back after them, right? And they're going to be, see war, and because of that, they're going to have fear. Rashi, Vahi Beshalach, Paray, V'lei Nacham, and it happened when Pharaoh sent, and God did not lead them. V'lei Nacham, so Rashi explained the word Nacham, Loi Nahagam, he did not lead them. The word Nacham usually does not mean the word lead for usual, right? It means, because later in the verse, it's there, the same word, V'lo yinachem ha'am. And there it means regret. But here it means did not lead them. Okay. We have it similar, the word go lead the people, which will be later on. We'll see that term. And then you will go and you will lead, and that's from Proverbs. Okay, why? Why didn't he not take them this way? Because when they see war. Oh, interesting. Actually, it's doesn't refer to the war with the Egyptians because really, actually, with the Egyptians wasn't a war. In the end, they were just drowned in the sea as they crossed. But where was the war? Where was the battle? It was with the Amalekites and the Canaanites. Because then if they went in a straight route, as I showed you what the straight route was, right, it would be easy for them to return. Right? It'd be easy to return. In other words, Egypt was bad, right? But in Egypt, they didn't fight any war. So who wants to fight a war? That's a Jewish feeling. Okay. So continuing in Rashi. So if going in a straight path, they would return. But if God will take them in a roundabout manner, as we showed going further south, and nonetheless, what happened? They did say, let's go back to Egypt. Right? They did say that. We'll see that later on in Bamidbar, in the book of Numbers. When it came they didn't have water, right? So let's go back. So if they would have gone in a straight path, all the more so, they would have wanted to return much quicker, and it'd be easier for them to return. Lest the people reconsider, they will have second thoughts over the fact that they've gone out of Egypt, and they will give heart to return, right? Because of the impending difficulties. Okay, verse number 18. The Yasev. So Yasev means like a roundabout way, Elokim, Esam. So God made the nation go in a roundabout way, Derech HaMidbar, by the way of the desert Yam Suf to the Sea of Reeds, as I showed you in the picture. Here, to show you once again, right? Here would be to go from here, that's straight across into Israel, would be through Gaza, through where the Philistines were, Plishtim. But look what God did. He took them all the way down here. And in the end, they'll go up all the way through here. That's how it's going to happen, right? But he took them down this way, and here's the Sea of Reeds, where they're going to, the sea will split. The chamushim olo b'nei Israel. So, and the word chamushim, we'll see, will have some different meanings, but the simple way that it's translated is armed. Chamushim, they were armed. Olu b'nei Israel, the Jewish people came up in Eretz Yisrael from the land of Egypt. So even though they were armed, they didn't want to. They weren't looking for the battle. So Rashi, v'yasev, and God took them in a roundabout way. From the roundabout way, from the straight way, as we mentioned. Yam Suf to the Sea of Reeds. Kamoi le Yam Suf, and others to say le Yam Suf. Two. It says Yam Suf. Often, the Torah is written in short form. Sometimes it's missing words and letters, right? Because it's like shorthand, and the oral Torah elongates it. So Rashi explains it means to the Yam Suf, even though it doesn't say that in the right. Suf hu lashon agam. The word suf means a marsh. Shikadelim boikanim, that reeds grow. That's what the Sea of Reeds. It was a marshy sea of reeds. The place it among the reeds. We had that earlier with Moshe when Moses was born as a little baby. He was put in a basket, right, amongst the reeds. Kamelu. Okay, another instance. Chamushim. Okay, what is chamushim? And chamushim elam is yonim. Chamushim, right, in this context, right, means armed. It means arms. Because God had made them go in a roundabout way in the desert. So God caused them that they should go up armed. Because if they would have gone the way of where there was habitation, in other words, going down the way they did, there wasn't inhabitants. If they would have gone through where there were inhabitants, taking that route, they would not have been armed what they would need in advance. But it's like a person who goes from place to place, travels from place to place. And when he goes from place to place, he has in mind that he's going to purchase all the needs that he has on his travels. But when he sets off to the desert, right, rather a place of habitation, then you have to take all the preparations with you, right? Because you're not going to get anything in the desert. So they're going into the desert, so God made sure that they were well prepared, right? As opposed to if they would have gone the straight route, they would have gone through habitation, and therefore, you could get your things en route. Okay, Mikra Zeh Loi Nichtab Ki Im Shaber Zoizet. So this verse was only written to make a particular point understood. Why? Because you shouldn't wonder when they come to the war against the Amalekis, and when they had wars against Sichon and Og and Midian, those were later on in the 40th year. Amalek was in the first year, right? Even before they went to Mount Sinai. And in these wars, where did they get weapons? Right? Swords, catapults, and bows and arrows, and so on and so forth, right? Because the verse says very clearly that Israelites struck them with the blade of a sword, as we'll see later on in Bamidbar, in Numbers, the book of Numbers, when those wars will take place. Likewise, it says, also it says in the beginning of the book of Joshua that when they crossed the Jordan, that they came armed. So where'd that all come from? Likewise, Uncle Les explains the word chamushim, that they were armed. That's the first explanation. Now he gives another explanation with the word chamushim. The word chamushim comes from the word chamesh, 5, right? Alternatively, chamushim means 5, chamisha, and it means echa michamisha yotzu, that 1 out of 5 of the Israelites departed from Egypt, and 4/5 died in Egypt during the 3 days of darkness. Right, that's where that's hinted to in that word. Okay, and of course, well, yeah, and that's what it means. Second. Chamushim olu, that they came up a 5th, ascended, of the Bnei Israel from the land of Egypt. Okay. Okay, verse 19. Look what happens now. V'yikach Moshe, and Moshe took his atzmis Yosef, the bones of Yosef, imoi, with them. Why? Because Joseph made them swear as Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, or the Israelites, Lamor, saying, Palkoi Yifkoi, that you should surely remember, Elokim Eschem, that when God will surely remember you, and then you should take up my bones, Mizeh, from this, Itchem, together with you. And of course, as we know, he's buried in Shechem, because that's where they took him to. And that's where actually Moshe said that you're gonna Shechem Echad, that you're gonna get Shechem as your inheritance to the tribe. Okay, verse number 19, Rashi, Hashbia, Hishbia, he made the children of Israel swear. Hishbia, Hashbia Levinehem. What do you mean he made them swear? That's that was 210 years ago. No, actually not. It was less than that. Somewhat less than that. But in any case, it was many years ago. So as Rashi says, he made his brothers swear that he would make their children swear, his brothers, meaning the 12 tribes, right? That he would make their children swear that when we get redeemed, his bone should be taken up. And why didn't Yosef make his sons swear to carry him up front to the land of Canaan immediately when he passed away? As Yaakov made his sons swear. Why he's bringing this up over here seems to me like questionable. Like, what's the point over here? At the end of the book of Bereshit of Genesis, when he dies, so it says that he was buried there. So, actually, I'm trying to remember if Rashi explained that there. I have to look. I don't recall now. So, and there he made, the oath was taken then. So why is he explaining it here? So, Yosef, in any case, that's a question. So Yosef said, I was a ruler over Egypt, and because I was the second in command, I had the wherewithal to carry out the terms of the oath that my father Jacob made of me to bury him in Canaan. But my sons, the Egyptians won't let them carry out if I make a similar oath. Therefore, he made them swear that when we would be redeemed, that you have to take me and carry me out of here and bring my remains back to Canaan. Take out my bones with you. Rashi, he made his brothers swear, take this oath. Itchem. So Rashi's picking up on the word. I didn't pick up on it. Take my bones together with you, meaning with you. They're not alive, and it doesn't mean his children. It means their bones too. They should also be taken up. Right? That's how Rashi takes out from these words. Because as it says, with you, meaning with your bones. Again, because they weren't alive. Very interesting. Okay. And they traveled from Sukkos. The Esan B'Ksei Hamidbar, and they came to Esan in the edge of the wilderness, of the desert. Here's Sukkos, right, down here in the desert, and now they traveled. See, they went in a circle, in a semicircle over here, and they came over here. First place, Esan. Okay. Rashi in number 20. He's from Sukkot, and they journeyed from Sukkot to Yom in the second day after the departure from Egypt. Because on the first day they came from Ramses to Sukkot. It was a pretty Very miraculous. Okay, 21, verse 21. The Hashem, and Hashem, God, Hailech Lifneim is goes before them, Yoimam by day, how? Ba'amud Anan, with a pillar of clouds. On Choisam, to lead them, Haderech, the path, the Laila, and at night, Ba'amud Eish. Also, Ba'amud is a pillar of Eish, a fire. Lahoyer Lahem, to give them light. Lalechas Yomam B'Layla, and this way they could travel day and night. Wow. Something. Rashi in 21, on Choisam Haderech, to lead them along the way, no patach. So some grammar over here, it's vowelized with a patach, which makes the word a causative. On Choisam, to show you the road in which you should travel. So here it's causative, meaning you're going to be led by an emissary. Who's the emissary? As you're causing something to lead you. So what are you causing to lead them? Well, that's the Amud Anan. That's a pillar of cloud. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that God, in His glory, would cause it to go up before the Israelites. Right? That's when we causative, right? Still, because despite the presence, God's presence, He prepared a pillar of cloud with which to lead them. Because of these clouds, right? That's how they would proceed. The pillar of clouds was not for light because it's daytime, but rather to guide them along the route. Right. So the pillar of clouds would stop. They would rest and set up camp. Then when it would rise up, the pillar of cloud, that was a sign for them to get everything ready for travel, and then wherever the clouds went, that's where they went. Verse 22. And it was not removed. The pillar of clouds, Yomam Badei, the Amada Eish, and the pillar of fire, Laila by night, Lifnei before the people. Rashi told him, Lo Yamish, would not remove. This means HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, would not remove it as Amada Anan Yom Laila, the Amada Eish Laila, the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. Magi, what does this tell us? Amada Anan Mashlim Amada Eish. This is telling us that the pillar of cloud will overlap with the pillar of fire, like the sun and the moon, can be in the sky at the same time. And the light of pillar of fire would overlap with the pillar of cloud. Before this would set, completely the other one would rise. Again, similar to it, like the sun and the moon, right? Okay, we're chapter 14, verse number 1. And Hashem spoke to Moshe, to Moses, saying, Israel, speak to the children of Israel, Yashuvu, and let them turn back, and that they should encamp between Pi Achiros, Ben Amigdal, Ben Ayam. So between Pi Achiros, between Migdal and the sea. Lifnei Baal Tzafain, before Baal Tzafain, al Hayam, and they should encamp opposite by the sea. Right, that's where the sea is going to split. That's funny. Why isn't it showing it over here? Second. Oh, so they were here. Right, this is the desert. So they went back over here, kind of northwest. Right. So they went backwards over here. Hmm. Rashi in verse number 2. Yashuvu. And they turned back lacharim to the rear. Right. Letad Mitzrayim lahayu mekarben. Like I just showed you, they were approaching closer to Egypt. Kol Yom Shishi on the entire third day. This was to mislead Pare. Oh, they're lost on the way. That's what the Pharaoh was going to think. As it says, and Paro said to the children of Israel, as we're going to see shortly, right, he's going to say, oh, let's go after them. And he camped before Piachiris, who Pisaim. This is Pisaim. But now it was called Piachiris, not Pisaim. Because that's where they became free people. Free people. P means the mouth of Chirus. Chirus means freedom. And these were tall upright rocks. And the canyon between them was called the mouth of the rocks. Okay. Before Baal Tzefon, this was the remaining gods of the Egyptians. This was again to mislead the Egyptians. That they're going to say, Kasha Yirasam, that their deity is having a challenge. Regarding this, Baal Tzefon, Job explained, Mashki legoyim v'yabdim. He leads the nations astray and he destroys them. In other words, they are by Baal Tzefon is one of the deities of the Egyptians. So, this is a good omen. Look where they are. They're by, where one of our deities are. So of course, this will help us to capture back our slaves and bring them back to Egypt. Right? That was all to mislead them. Okay. Verse number 3. Paru said, because of all this, leave Israel. He said concerning the children of Israel, Nevuchim Heim Ba'aretz, that they are confined within the land. Sagar Aleim Midbar, the desert has locked them in. Amar Parai, Rashi, number 3, and Parai said, Kishiyish Mashehem Shabin Lacharem, when he heard that the Israelites were turning to their rear, right, going back, leaving Israel to the children of Israel, Alamed, the prefix of Alamed 2 means Al Bnei Israel. It doesn't mean to the children. He didn't speak to the children of Israel, right? They weren't there. It means concerning, about the children of Israel. Right. And similarly, we find Hashem Yilachem Lachem, that Hashem will fight on your behalf. Lachem, Lamed, Aleichem, on your behalf. Amr li, Achihu, said which is a brother. Imri Allah, say about me. Okay, just showing different example. Nevuchim hem, they're confined. Kluyim u'mishukoim, they're locked and they're embedded. Ubalaz, in an old French, serer. Kamai nivche hayam is giving another example that from this word that it means, that they're confined in a barrier of the sea. It shows in different in a verse in Job. Be'emek habocha, the valley of confinement. That's from Psalms. Naharais, yeah, confined. Mora Nevuchim is a book by the Rambam, by Maimonides, which is a guide for the perplexed. So here, confined in a barrier, and therefore that's, you're in your box, and therefore that brings you and makes you perplexed. But here it doesn't mean perplexed, but confined specifically. Okay. Chizakti. So, till now, this is what Pharaoh said, right, in the previous verse. Now, God speaks, B'chizakti, and I will strengthen his late power, the heart of power, and he will chase after them. B'kab the pare, and Paro will glorify himself with all of his entire army, and Egypt will know Ki Ani Hashem, that I am Hashem, Yasuchein, and they did so. Okay, Rashi in number 4. Mikabde Pare. Oh, sorry, I read it. I read it about his glorification. No, that God will be glorified through Pharaoh. When God is when God takes a vengeance against the wicked, his name becomes magnified and glorified. Yeah. When the wicked fall, right? In this vein, it says, that I will contend with him. Afterwards, the prophet goes on to say that God will become magnified and will become sanctified and will become known. Be cautious. That's by the defeat of Sancherib, who was also an enemy, wicked people. And there it says God will be known amongst Judah. Hashem mishpat also, like this is Hashem becomes known when he executes judgment. Right? God-fearing people recognize that this is the hand of God. I don't know, it's just God-fearing people, maybe. Those would be, Pare and his entire army. Pare initiated the sin to enslave the Israelites. So therefore the punishment begins with him. Yasuchein, last Rashi in number 4. And they did so. Lahagid Shivchan, this comes and tells the praiseworthiness of the Jewish people of Israel. Moshe, they listened to the voice of Moshe and they did not say Hayech Niskaravel. Alright, Feno, how can we draw close to our pursuers? By moving back in the direction of Egypt. We must run away. Rather, they said, we only have the words of the son of Amram, meaning Moshe was the son of Amram. Interesting. Yasuchein. This is interesting. So Rashi's saying, which we need to understand, or at least I don't have clarity, that they did so. The Israelites did so. Even the verse is speaking about Pharaoh and what he's going to do. And there's really nothing here that speaks about the Israelites and what they need to do. But the Yasuchein, Rashi, speaking about the Israelites, that they said, okay, we just got to follow the words of our leader, of Moshe. Okay, you need to understand that, how that Rashi gets that from here. Okay, verse number 5. And it was told to the king of Egypt, meaning to Pharaoh, that the nation had fled. What does that mean? You didn't know? Well, it's like Abraham Lincoln. He woke up in the morning after being shikar, and he was I freed the who? Right? So his heart was turned, and his servants, Ela'am, concerning the people, the nation, and they said, Mazos, what is this, Asina, that we have done? Kishalach, that we have sent out, is Israel Ma'abdenu, the Israelites from our service. Yeah, they were shikar, drunk, and they got up from their drunkenness. Yeah, jokingly. Okay, and it was told to the king of Egypt. It was told. Who told them? Pharaoh sent supervisors with them. They said they only want to go out for 3 days and bring offerings to God. When it arrived at the conclusion of the 3-day period, what they set up, that they were going to go and worship in the desert and then return. This is itself is a question. What does this mean exactly? Why would they say that? Why did they should say that? Then the supervisor saw that the Israelites are now returning to Egypt. They came to Pharaoh on the 4th day and told him what's going on. And therefore on the 5th and 6th days after the departure of the Israelites, the Egyptians pursued the Israelites. And on the 9th of the 7th day, that's 7th day after going out of Egypt, right? They went down to the sea, right, the Sea of Reeds. And in the morning of the 7th day, the Israelites gave, they sang Oz Yashir, the song, of the sea, which we'll have later on in this parsha. And that's the 7th day of the holiday of Pesach. That's why we read the song of the sea on the 7th day of Pesach, right? That is the Torah reading that we do then. Why Rashi has to put this over here, I have no idea. Like how's that important to know, or implied even from the simple meaning? And the heart of Pharaoh and the servants was turned, and transformed from what it was. Because Pharaoh had said to them, to the Israelites, arise, get out from amongst my people. And the heart of his servants was turned likewise. Because in last week's Torah portion, he said, they would say to Pharaoh, his servant, how long are we going to have this difficulty, this hazard for us, of the Jewish people? Get them out of here. And now they changed their attitude and they want to go after them. Because of the property and the great value of stuff that they had given them. Actually lent them, and I still don't understand what the idea of lent them is. From serving us, to work for us. Verse number 6. And he harnessed his chariot and he took people with him. Rashi. He harnessed his chariot. Who batzma? He himself. Right? Usually his servants would do it, but he did himself. He took his people with him. He persuaded them with words. That we've been smitten, and they took our money, and he sent them, and we sent them away. Come with me to pursue them. And I won't treat you like other kings would in this, going after them. The practice of other kings would be the servants would go ahead in battle, right? And the king would stay behind, not to put himself in peril. But I'm going to go ahead of you. Shenemar says, as the verse says, we'll see in tomorrow, that Pharaoh brought himself close. That he brought himself close and he hurried ahead of his troops. That's the first point, right? That he went first into battle. Second point is the way of kings is furthermore, Pharaoh said, other kings, they would take their share of plunder first, right? And take the choicest of things. But I will divide equally with you. As the verse says, I will divide the spoils. We'll see coming up. Verse number 7. And he took 600 select chariots. Bocher, choice. That's the word, choice. And every chariot of Egypt. Shalishim al kulai. And officers were upon all of them. Verse number 7, Bocher means select, Nivchorim, chosen ones, Bocher, Yochid, the singular, in every chariot of Egypt, the Imaim, Kol Sharecha, along with the choicest ones, right, 600 choicest ones, there were the rest of the chariots too. Where'd they get the animals to pull these chariots? That they are of the Egyptians. Doesn't it say it says all of their livestock had died, right, in the plague of pestilence, of Dever. So you're going to say that belongs to the Israelites. Doesn't it say that we took all of our livestock with us? So then where do they get them from? So mean is Hashem, for those who feared the word of God. You can't right from there, from those who feared God. So by the pestilence, they put it into the barn, and the pestilence didn't get to them. You can't Reb Shimon. I read from here, Reb Shimon say, that during a wartime, when it comes to the best of the Egyptians, kill him. When it comes to even the best among snakes, crush its brain, right? Because it's gonna, whatever you're gonna do, a snake is always gonna bite you, right? As nice as you're gonna be to a snake, it's gonna bite, it's gonna sting you. So crush it before it does. Same thing with the Egyptians. What's the proof? Look what they did. They gave over their horses. Shalishim al kulai. Officers all over all of them. As Uncle Liz translates, commanders. Okay, last verse. And Hashem strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt, and he chased after Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, and the children of Israel going out with a raised hand. Rashi in number 8. He strengthened the heart of Pharaoh. He was vacillating between should he pursue them or not. But he strengthened his heart that he should pursue the Jewish people. The Jewish people went out with a raised hand, with a lofty and openly displayed might. Right. Raised hand meaning, they went out with real might. Okay, amazing. Amazing, we did it. Okay, folks.